We'll be starting in just a moment. Oh, so much has happened. It's amazing how much has happened in such a short time. But, this is a big developing story, the Obama coup against President Trump. So we're going to break this all down with all the updates today and take your calls. If you're new, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. And you're welcome to call in. Okay, there we go. One last thing. And then we'll be ready to go. Okay. Okie dokie. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, welcome, one and all. And I'm here to tell you a lot has happened. Trump used the word treason today in the same sentence as President Obama's name. So we're going to get into all of that. This coup that Obama launched against President Trump it's huge. It's huge. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. And if you're watching live on YouTube, you are welcome to call in. The number is pinned in the live chat. The rest of you, of course, you can listen on all the podcast platforms pre-recorded. But if you watch me on YouTube, you get everything live, okay? Okay, so let's get into it. President Trump, he had the president of the Philippines, and this was an exciting thing because we knew this was really the first Trump press conference since everything came out with Tulsi Gabbard, and the media has, of course, started covering it, at least some of the media. A lot of the media don't want to cover it, but that's not a problem. We'll still cover it, right? And, just to get you up to speed, if you don't know what's happened, Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, has released about 100 classified documents that she's declassified, and she's put together and referred it to the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI for a criminal prosecution that Obama organized a treason conspiracy. And just to give you a quick Reader's Digest, capsulized version of what happened, and then we're going to get into what President Trump said. President Trump had won the election when this happened. He was the president-elect. This was December, I wrote it down, I don't want to forget, December 9th. Obama is still the president, but Donald Trump is the president-elect. That's a done deal. The election is over. They are having a panic. Over what? We're not exactly sure. Ego, power, loss of control, money. We'll find out more as to why they did this. But Obama organized a meeting in the Oval Office of all of the heads of his security agencies, Clapper, Brennan, Comey, and others. And this is all in the documents released by Tulsi Gabbard. This is not her opinion. This is not her doing an interview and saying this happened or that happened. She actually has the documents that she's declassified. Obama and these people, for some reason, kept records of their criminal activity, of their coup. So she first released the intelligence analysis prior to December 9th, and it said that there was no Russian interference and anything to do with that election. Not only did every intelligence agency say that in their reports, they said Russia did not even have the ability to do it. So, yeah, I know, pretty wild, huh? So Obama convenes this meeting with all the heads of his intelligence agencies on December 9th, and what they do is make a decision to, well, Obama had already made the decision. He gave the orders to all these creeps to write a fake new national security intelligence report saying that there was Russian interference. 100% fabricated, a complete counterfeit, a complete forgery, and that's where we are. So President Trump is in the very office today, the Oval Office, where Obama launched this coup. And of course, he was asked about it. Listen. Okay, so what he's saying here, this is really something you got to understand. He's president of the United States. He has access to all of the security data. Okay, he's not the host of the Celebrity Apprentice. He's not a private citizen. He has looked over the data, the reports, the documents. He's been briefed by the people that are in charge now. So when he says that Obama was the ringleader, this is not just an opinion. This is a factual statement based on the reports. Yeah. You know, so we're in a whole new area. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll take some calls shortly, but I first want to go through some of this. The idea that this is acceptable is insane to me. And, you know, a lot of people are speculating, why did Comey, Clapper, Obama, Susan Rice, why do they have records of this? There's a few reasons why they may have kept records of this. One, and this is something I've talked about a lot with these people, and this is a very difficult thing for a lot of people to understand because it is nuts, because these, you know, this whole crowd of Obamas are they're all nuts. But they don't think that they were doing anything wrong, at least not at the time. They think they were saving the country from us by doing this. So they kept records thinking that they would be successful in their coup against President Trump and he'd be run out of office. But also because they didn't think they were doing anything wrong. They think they are American heroes. Another possibility as to why they have all these records, with all the records, there's not a single person that, okay, they did it. They're all guilty. All these, you know, we have this vast left-wing conspiracy. They're all guilty. Mutually assured incriminations, right? Why they went to such an extreme, we don't really know. We can speculate on it. But they went to an incredible extreme here, Obama. It was mainly Obama because, you know, President Trump said today, multiple times, Barack Obama was the ringleader. This is his doing. This is what he did. So what they did with this was craft this fake Russian interference nonsense, saying that President Trump was controlled by Putin. You know, you even heard that during last year's election, that he was controlled by Putin, that he was Putin's puppet, that Putin had blackmail material. It led to all kinds of things that undermined his entire first term. The whole Mueller investigation was based on this fake report that they crafted from that meeting. Okay? So then, after they had this fake thing and everything was going along, then Comey, Clapper, and Brennan went to Trump Tower to give President-elect Donald Trump a national security briefing. That was on January 6th. January 6th, got a lot of famous things happening on January 6th of different years. But they didn't really go there for a security briefing. They went with the fake Russian dossier, which was a part of this fake interference narrative that they had crafted, and they dropped it on Trump's desk and said, hey, this can either go away, wink, wink, if you play ball with us, or we can investigate this. Now, what they wanted him to do as far as play ball, we don't know. But we do know this happened. In fact, we've known this has happened for a long time. Now, I did not know that Clapper and Brennan were there because I'd heard the whole time it was Comey, but now we got some new information courtesy of Tulsi Gabbard's declassification of all these documents. So what they did is it was a shakedown. They went to blackmail the president. He didn't play ball. He said, get out of here. This is ridiculous, this dossier. So Comey, who was the big leaker of the bunch, they leaked the dossier to the state-controlled liberal fake news media, and then the media started broadcasting in this 24-hour news cycle we're in, this fake story that Trump is in collusion with Putin. Listen, this is a montage. I saw this on X today. Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and that was a montage put together by Newsbusters, which if you don't follow Newsbusters, you should. They're very good. Newsbusters.org online. Very good, conservative, accurate, real news reporting. But, I mean, there you have it. So you had the entire media. That was the entire, three-letter alphabet, 24-hour news cycle / network media and their morning shows and late night shows and everything else that went with this false narrative that was crafted by this meeting that Obama organized when they put together that fake, counterfeit, totally made up and new intelligence assessment. And it got our president impeached, got the Mueller investigation, all this stuff. Vindman, he's a part of it. This is insane that this happened. It's hard for me to even believe it myself. I mean, I know it happened, but that they went to such extremes. Why? What were they afraid of with Donald Trump? It had to be more than just ego. There's something they wanted. What it was, we don't know yet. Maybe we never will. We don't really need to know. I mean, I'm curious to know. This is very scary stuff. And when you saw President Trump in this press conference in the Oval Office today with the president of the Philippines, you could tell he is as serious as a heart attack about bringing Obama and the others to justice. Not just because we have a system of laws in this country and it's the right thing to do. I mean, that's a part of it. It's justice. But he knows when he eventually leaves office, whatever year that is, they are never going to leave him alone. They're going to be after him for the rest of his life. Unless he brings them to justice. And there's no presidential immunity either. You know, just because you were president of the United States doesn't mean you have a license to go out and do crime. Just because you are president, you can't either. That's why we have an impeachment process for presidents that do crime. It's been misused as a political weapon against Donald Trump, but it's there for presidents who break the law. Plus, they arrested President Trump 3 times, New York, Fulton County, and Miami, after that Mar-a-Lago break-in. Imagine he gets his house broken into and they arrest him. Isn't that insane? So they arrested Donald Trump 3 times. So this idea that Obama has presidential immunity, you don't have immunity to go out and do illegal things. They have immunity on some things like if they order an airstrike and people are killed, they can't be charged with murder. They can't be sued, things like that. They don't have immunity to go out and organize a coup, craft phony, made-up intelligence briefings, and use them as a political weapon against an opponent because they don't like that he won. It would have been bad enough and criminal if this was before he was elected, but he was the president-elect of the United States, and they carried this operation along even after he took the oath of office, and Donald Trump was the 45th president, and Barack Obama became the former president. Democrats are scary people, aren't they? No doubt about it. Now, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to take our first break. And when we get back, I'll take some calls. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Available on Amazon, you'll discover 100 delicious plant-based recipes designed to fuel you with energy and simplify your transition to a balanced vegan lifestyle. From mindful eating and nutrition essentials to a 30-day meal plan, about healthy, sustainable right now on Amazon. How we make our decisions. In the book, Writing at the Crossroads, Generation X and the Ethical AI Revolution. Author Martin Duplessis, a technology executive with over 30 years of experience and founder of the Ethical AI organization, delivers a clear, no-nonsense guide tailored for Gen X. Writing at the Crossroads breaks down what AI really is, how it affects your career, finances, and privacy, as well as why Generation X must
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. All right, I'll take a call or two before I get into more of the information. Just so much breaking on the Obama coup against President Trump's first term. 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, it's Jack again. Are you willing to hear me this time?
Well, I don't know. I'm in the middle of a show. If it's relevant to what I'm talking about, I may. But if not, I'll move on because I got a lot to cover.
Let's be real. Tulsi's more upset about Obama warning us about Putin than actually Putin attacking our democracy, Brian.
I don't even know what that
You're lying.
means. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Brian, listen. Tulsi has been on record repeating Russian propaganda talking...
As an example, what is some Russian propaganda that she's on the record repeating? Huh?
Well, for example, her views on Ukraine.
What is that? What is her view on Ukraine that is Russian propaganda? She's on the record promoting Russian propaganda. What is the propaganda? What did she say?
She's lying about how Obama started this whole thing.
Started what thing?
Lying.
She's not saying anything. She has the documents from the Obama administration that she's declassified. These are documents from the Obama White House, the Comey FBI, the Brennan CIA, the James Clapper office as well, and others. These are not things she's saying. These are the guilty party's own documents that she's declassified, and she's linked them all up on her account on X. Do you know what's going on? Are you following the news? Do you know what's going on?
You gonna let me answer?
No, you told me. No, you said that she has knowingly spread. You said that Tulsi Gabbard has knowingly spread Russian Putin propaganda. I'm waiting for you to tell me what she said that was Russian propaganda.
Explain to me how the Russians hacked into the DNC.
No, that is not an answer. That's a question. What has she said or done that is promoting Russian propaganda?
By being on RT alone and doing interviews.
Doing interviews? You're talking to me. Does that mean you're accountable to what I get off the phone? What an idiot. Give me a break. You know, I was telling you guys this morning that USAID being shut down by Doge and Elon Musk, whoever they were paying to write the Democrats' talking points, obviously is no longer on the payroll. So they are a movement, the left, without talking points, and they sound more idiotic than even normal. Now, John Solomon, he told us about a week and a half ago, the Friday night at Turning Point USA in Tampa, that something big was happening, and it was going to come out. He said it's going to come out next week probably, and it's going to go back 10 years. Now we know what it is. It was this Tulsi Gabbard release, which shows that John Solomon is in the loop, unlike everybody else. Nobody else knew this, but John Solomon did. Here's John Solomon. He's on Real American Voice talking about all this. Yeah, justthenews.com, where Solomon is, and he's obviously the Woodward and Bernstein of this. He's getting all the information. He's got all the sources, and they're getting it out into the public through him. And he's had 100% accuracy in his reporting on this for, I guess, I don't know, the last 10 days or so since he first started reporting, telling us that something was coming. You know, this is one thing that these liberals don't get. If this were a Republican president that did this to a Democrat, we on the right would be just as upset. See, we don't support treason. We don't support coups. And by the way, based on the liberal standard, is not Obama and his group of conspirators that he organized on December 9th in the Oval Office, are they not insurrectionists if they were interrupting the work of the government? I think so. They're also insurrectionists. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
You are dead.
Okay, there we go. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Mm-hmm. That's life. That's what it's like to be MAGA. Isn't that something? Mm-hmm. That's how they roll. But you know, here's the thing that you guys got to understand. Here's what you got to understand. A lot of people may say, well, okay, we've known about this for a while. No, we suspected some things, but not at this level. And what we have going on right now is at a whole new level because we have the documents. This is not, it's amazing. I've never seen someone like Obama and his team here of lunatics keep government records that are detailed like this of their criminal activity. So this isn't the opinion or the conclusion of somebody on Trump's staff like Tulsi or others. What it is are the words of the conspirators themselves. We've never had something like this happen. Yeah, okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Brian. I'm calling from Colorado.
Yep, go ahead, Colorado.
All right, so what's up with January 7th? Why did he pardon all those people?
I don't know what you're talking about. Be more specific. Be more specific.
Why don't...
January 7th? Why did he... I don't know what you're... Who are you talking about and who was pardoned?
What do you think happened on January 7th?
On January 7th?
Everybody watch this fucking guy, watch this fucking life. He can't even defend it. He's fucking pretending he's a fucking liar, piece of shit.
Okay, we're talking about this coup. We're not talking about something else. You know, when I don't know why when you don't wait, you know, this is what liberals do. This is what liberals do, right? They can't debate this. So they want to talk about everything other than this. That's okay. That's okay. You know, they know the reason that we're getting so much action from them on this, and they're so out of control, is because we're right. And we've got the documents, and we've got the receipts. And, you know, I've been talking to Democrats, you know, for the last few days about this. And we started talking about this really over the weekend, right? On my live streams over the weekend, I was taking some calls. So we've got about 3-4 days now that we've been talking about this because Tulsi Gabbard released this information on Friday. I did a show Saturday morning, talked about it on Monday. Today's Tuesday. You know, I haven't talked to one single Democrat who could coherently discuss anything about any of these things that are going on. Have you noticed that? Now, I want to talk about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment, which is just amazing. You know, I wonder sometimes, you know, when I'm talking to you guys about Dr. Appleton, sometimes I think, what would my life be like if I had never met Dr. Appleton? I would be in so much pain. I would be suffering so much. My life would be awful because all these pains I was suffering from, I still would have had. The difference is they wouldn't be gone now, thanks to Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. I would be suffering day and night. That's what would be happening. And I'm not. I'm living pain-free. free, thanks to Dr. Appleton. He's rid me of pain 7 times. You know, his laser treatment works on so many types of pains, stenosis, neck pain. I've talked to a few listeners who have actually gone to him for arthritis in their neck. Can you imagine? He rid me of arthritis in my hand. But could you imagine having arthritis in your neck? They don't have arthritis pain anymore. Tennis elbow, tinnitus, strains and sprains, sciatica, muscular contraction, lumbar pain, hip pain, knee pain, bursitis, bronchial neuralgia, and the list goes on. Every pain I've ever heard of, and I'm learning about new pains all the time, you'll be rid of with Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. It's totally painless. There's no shots, no injections, no surgery, no downtime, and no appointments necessary either, even on Saturdays. Give him a call and say bye-bye to your pain, like I've done 7 times. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast where MAGA comes to talk. You know, this conspiracy, when it left that Oval Office, it went all over the place. And remember this at the funeral when everyone but Trump got the envelope? George W. Bush handing out the envelopes. Clinton's got the envelopes. Obama's got everybody got the envelopes except President Trump. Do you think that envelope, Hillary Clinton got her envelope, do you think those envelopes had something to do with this coup? Not the kind of thing you want to talk about on the telephone, is it? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay. What's up, Jeff in Iowa?
What's up? So I got a question for you about, so now that we know that all this Russiagate shit was a big old hoax, I got a major question is, should we prosecute Obama for this?
Well, President Trump said yes, that he was the ringleader. Yeah, he should be arrested, charged, and tried in federal court. Yeah. He's facing he's facing life imprisonment for treason.
So what about the Trump versus United States court case that says presidents can't be prosecuted for what they do in office?
No, that's not true. This was, excuse me, this was different than what these cases are about. What this was about was organizing an illegal operation using intelligence operations to undermine the incoming president of the United States that continued after he was president. Presidents do not have immunity to commit treason. As an example, they have access to all kinds of classified material. Right? They know the nuclear codes. They know what's at Area 51. The list goes on. They know where nuclear weapons are that are classified. They can't go around giving that information out. In fact, Jimmy Carter...
They can't put it in, say, the Mar-a-Lago bathroom?
There was nothing in the Mar-a-Lago bathroom that was classified.
But, okay, here, listen to me. You've been talking all day.
Well, it's the Brian Craig Show.
The United States straight up says
I'm not going to turn the show over to you. Okay? Presidents do not have immunity to go and commit treason. And I will remind you that President Trump was arrested 3 times and has a conviction in New York of how many charges? And all of you Democrats out there keep telling, well, he's a convicted felon of 30-some charges. It doesn't sound like he's got immunity. Right? So are you saying that only Trump can be charged and convicted of crimes, and the other presidents are immune? What are you guys saying? Do you even hear yourselves? I'm starting to think that you're not hearing yourselves. Now, I wanted to share this because I just thought this was so weird. By the way, you're welcome to call in. If you're watching live on YouTube, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. I mean, there has not been a day that's gone by in the last 6 months where I haven't either gotten a call from a Democrat or in my live stream on YouTube, there haven't been Democrats in there saying, Trump's a convicted felon of 30, I forgot how many charges. The liberals know, because they love to talk about that 30-something number all the time. Now, all of a sudden, presidents can't be convicted of crimes? Really? Isn't that interesting? Since when? So this was just really bizarre. I saw this, and this was just, by the way, if that's true, they can go out and kill people. You can't do that. They can't do that. In fact, on top of that, President Nixon was pardoned by President Ford for the crimes he committed in office. It was very controversial at the time. People were really upset that Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon. So why did Ford pardon Nixon? What was the point of that? It's because they were going to put Nixon in prison. That's why. So you can cite things and say V this and V that and Supreme Court this and Supreme Court that. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, now I wanted to share this because this was just so weird. President Trump has saved us from a lot of things. And of course, one of those things he saved us from is having Kamala Harris as the president of the United States. Could you imagine? Now, Nicole Wallace of MSNBC, She is, believe it or not, a Republican. She worked for John McCain, and she worked on the McCain-Palin campaign. And I bet you that she was the source of the leaks about Sarah Palin during that campaign. She hates Sarah Palin. And Nicole Wallace, I don't know why she's on TV. She looks miserable all the time. I mean, she looks just pissed off all the time. She looks like she's in pain. I've never seen her happy. And all she does is promote liberals and Democrats, but she calls herself a Republican. She says she's a Republican in exile. She'll return to the Republican Party when Trump's not leading it, whatever that means. So she has this podcast, and she sat down with the actor Jeff Daniels. And what a liberal lunatic he is. Listen to this. So this is Nicole Wallace with actor Jeff Daniels. And I'm trying to think, what's your favorite Jeff Daniels movie? And a lot of people say Dumb and Dumber, but when you hear this clip of Jeff Daniels, was he really acting in Dumb and Dumber? Or was he just playing himself, right? Listen to this.
I still think about Pamela and how I think she would have been a good choice. I don't care what they say.
Yes.
Because she would have
What's that?
Liz Cheney would have been Secretary of State.
Oh my goodness, could you imagine? You know, this really is amazing to me, how these leftists put Liz Cheney up on this pedestal. Liz Cheney is the daughter of a lying war criminal that is responsible for, I don't know how many tens of thousands of deaths through his lies of WMDs. All those fancy clothes and houses she has is all the blood money from the WMD lies. And when George W. Bush was president and Dick Cheney was vice president, do you guys remember what all the left called Dick Cheney? Remember what they called him? Darth Vader. They called him Darth Vader. And they wanted to take President Bush and Dick Cheney to The Hague at the International Court and try them on war crimes. That was like 03, 04, okay, during the Iraq War. And now all these leftists put the Cheney family on this pedestal of honorable people. It's crazy. Anyway, back to it. Jeff Daniels and Nicole Wallace on her podcast. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's the madness of King George. Is this from a script in some movie he acted in long ago? You know, I like this is the madness of King George. And, you know, what did Lincoln know about this great cabinet? He put this team of rivals together. It didn't work. The Civil War broke out, and all those Democrats, almost all of them were gone within 6 months. Oh, what a windbag. Yes. Jack. Nothing. Oh, now all the liberals are Christians, too. You notice that? I had a caller ask me that today. A liberal guy called me and said, aren't you a Christian? What would Jesus do? Now, the Democrats that took prayer out of the public schools have taken the Ten Commandments down from every public building in America, right? Tried to take God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, all of a sudden, they're Christian fundamentalists who are praising Jesus all of a sudden. No. Okay, what now? Now here we are. Now you got it. All right, yeah. Okay, Jeff Daniels. You know, what an idiot. What a freaking idiot. I'm trying to think of the last thing I saw him in that was new, that he acted in, that I liked. He's a good actor. But you know what? I don't know how good of an actor he is. He's kind of the same, isn't he? Like this all the time and everything? I don't know. I used to like him. I don't like him anymore. Never really paid too much attention to him. But this is how all the liberals are talking these days. And what he's talking about are the illegal immigrants. If he ever acts again, I don't know, is he still acting? If you went to the sets of any of his movies, do you think they have illegal aliens working on the sets of the movies he's been on? No. They're all card-carrying union members that are very documented. It's very easy to support the illegals coming over here when they're taking everyone's job but yours, because you're working in an area that's 100% unionized. And how many of these actors complain that they hire all these British actors in American movies? They're always complaining about that. What a jerk. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
You know, Jeff Daniels needs to stick to making movies.
I don't know. When's the last time he made a new movie? I mean, I'm going to look up his...
Dumb and Dumber.
I've never seen Dumb and Dumber. I've never seen Dumb and Dumber. Never seen it.
Real. It was an all right movie. But anyway, that caller from earlier, let me clue that caller in. Even if he did have the documents...
Oh, he was... I'll tell you, there's one movie he was in that I like. There was one movie he was in that I really like, Speed. He was Keanu Reeves' partner in Speed, remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, even if Donald Trump had those documents at Mar-a-Lago in that bathroom, he had all the rights in the world to have those documents. Presidents have the rights to declassify and classify documents as they wish. So unlike Joe Biden, who had documents in his garage by his midlife crisis.
Yeah.
You know,
next to the vet.
You know. Yep. And that's the thing. These people are so delusional with this. Oh, the documents case. They're still hung up on the documents case because the judge, our good MAGA judge, did what was right.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, this is the thing. Why? You know, the reason they broke into Mar-a-Lago, they thought. Now, this came out not long after the break-in of Mar-a-Lago. Remember, they brought a safecracker with them to break into the president's safe. They thought that that Donald Trump had files in his private safe at Mar-a-Lago that had these records that Tulsi just declassified about the Obama coup. That's what they were looking for. That came out not long after the break-in. They thought there was a binder with all the documents in them. That's why they broke into Mar-a-Lago. It was none of these things about documents that President Trump had. That was a cover story.
No. That was a cover story, and that's the thing. And this is how this Trump derangement syndrome or whatever, or just plain stupidity works. They thought they had these documents, even though they knew full good and well that they had these documents, which Tulsi just declassified.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, and that's the other thing I keep telling them. This is not just Tulsi Gabbard saying stuff. She's not giving her opinions at all. She has the documents from the Obama administration. These are Brennan documents, Comey documents, Clapper documents, Obama documents. They've been highly classified above top secret. They had like that ultra top secret thing, like very high up. And she's declassified the most classified documents, but these are all from the Obama administration, these documents that are detailing all these things that we're talking about.
And look, this when we see Brennan and Clapper and all these people on CNN and MSNBC trying to say stuff about Tulsi Gabbard and stuff, the problem with that is they're in their late 60s, early 70s. If they end up going to jail for 15, 20 years, that's their life. That's a life sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. I appreciate the call. Yeah. Mike in Louisiana. He is spot on and right on the money. Now, I want to talk about Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, Joe Thomas is offering free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are located in the United States. I'm going to give his number to you in just a moment. If you're watching on YouTube, it's on the screen. You know, call him and talk to him about annuities. When you take advantage of this no-charge consultation, Joe Thomas is going to put together a custom proposal just for you based on your situation, your goals. And a cool thing about annuities, this is absolutely amazing. You guys hear me talk about this a lot. I am not a gambler. I don't gamble. I work too hard for my money, and I can't handle losing money in a slot machine or at a poker table or whatever. I don't like that. To me, the stock market's gambling. Annuities, your nest egg is always safe. You're never going to lose your money, and you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. When you call, ask Joe Thomas about that 10% bonus on day one. You know, you can make 10% on your investment in an annuity before you even walk out of his office. I'm not kidding. Isn't that amazing? That's right, 10% before you walk out of the office. If you invested in the stock market and everything went your way, in a year you might make that. Might, if everything went your way. You can make 10% before you walk out of the office. Also, ask him about the medical income doubler as well, which your revenue stream, if you're unable to function, if you're immobile and all of that, you have medical issues, you can have your income doubled that comes from your annuity, which can come in handy during those times. Here's the number. Again, you can take advantage of this no-charge consultation with Joe Thomas no matter where you're located in the United States. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. If you missed the number, just go to his website. It's an easy one to remember. His number's right there, JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, thank you. Phenomenal. They just completed my roof last week. And reporter on my residence. Tom Reporter meticulously spearheaded the entire project from inception through to the finalization of the assignment. Tom handled all the paperwork involved with city permits, inspectors, and my community HOA. He was always available, assuring me that he had my back in all phases of the project. Additionally, Tom, Scott, and Dan, and the entire crew were very well organized with a plan consistent with all policies and procedures, and craftsmanship was exemplary in all stages of the design execution. Tom, Scott, and Dan maintained continual contact with me, the homeowner, asking if there were any questions I had or anything further I needed. Colbert Roofing is, in every respect, a stellar, five-star, AAA, family-owned company that is a reliable, easy-to-find roofing organization. These guys are spot on with regards to perfection, and they demand it. I remain mesmerized upon the completion of the job. My roof is a masterpiece. And one last thing before I forget, they were the least expensive quote that I received out of all quotes for roofing. I thank Tom Reporter Roofing for all that they do. Wow, Frank, well, thanks so much. Tom Reporter at Reporter Roofing. He covers both the West Coast of Florida and everywhere in between. He works with every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, and he works with every type of roofing material. Also, don't forget, Tom Reporter will never sell you a roof you do not need. Just a simple repair, he'll do it. You can also handle the job of any size, whether it's a single-family home or an HOA with over 200 units. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Reporter's cell phone, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, roofing.com. Frank, thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Brian. Have a wonderful day.
All right. We are back. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And this, of course, is where MAGA comes to talk. Those of you watching live on YouTube, you can call me live on the stream. The number is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to talk a little bit about this Stephen Colbert. You know, in broadcasting, what's going on with Stephen Colbert, while it has happened once or twice, it is a very unusual thing. to be told you're fired a year in advance. And the reason that is because of what Stephen Colbert pulled on Monday on his program, Monday night. He went out on stage and he said, F off to President Trump on television. The reason that you don't let people back on the air after they have been fired is because they can go on the air and say anything, and it can be very destructive for the television station, for the personality, for the company. And Stephen Colbert is so unhinged and out of control that he can't be trusted on the air. And if he continues down this path, they're going to take him off the air much sooner. And what he's doing is crazy. You know, if Stephen Colbert were a stable person, which he obviously is not, he would tell himself, you know what, I am very good at what I do. I'm going to put on the best shows possible. I'm going to get the ratings up. And when next year comes around, if they don't want to keep me, I'm going to have such high ratings, and I'm going to highlight how talented I truly am over this next year that people are going to be lining up to put me on their network or TV station or streaming service. But he's not doing that. He's going around acting like an insane man, isn't he? And it's a train wreck. I don't watch that show. It's on too late at night for me. I'm in bed. I got to get up early in the morning to be on the air. But I'm going to be following it online to see the self-destruction of Stephen Colbert. And a lot of people will. But he's not going to highlight his talent. I think he's a mediocre talent, if even that. I've never thought him to be too funny. I didn't like that act he did at Comedy Channel, that Bill O'Reilly act he was doing. I never thought that was funny. I always thought it was kind of weird. And when he got that late night show and he took it over from David Letterman, he said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to interview celebrities, and this is going to be a fun show, and it's not going to be politics. And when he first went on the air, the ratings tanked. So he got involved in politics. And the little bit I've seen, he doesn't even tell jokes. I see the clips on X or on TV. He just goes out there and says some nasty thing about Trump, and then his liberal crowd goes wild, and that's comedy now? It's like Joy Behar on The View. She's supposed to be a comic. So's Whoopi Goldberg. You ever see them say anything funny? Liberals can't be funny. They're too angry. And it's going to be a long year, if he lasts that long, of personal, total self-destruction by Stephen Colbert. And it's really it's terrible what he's doing. You know, a show like that has a large staff, and look at what he's doing to them by acting this way. He's putting this next year of employment they have in jeopardy because he is an out-of-control crazy man. And it's going to get worse. You know, when Carson quit, he knew he was dying. So he had a reason, and he left on his own terms, but he knew he was dying. This guy, the only thing dying is his career. And, you know, the thing about what's happened with these late night shows, they've all been weaponized into politics, like Saturday Night Live has. And there's not an audience for that anymore. This is a MAGA country. Yeah, there's still liberals out there. There's still lunatic Democrats, but they're small in numbers. They're really a cult. The vast majority of the country are proud American patriots. Now, speaking of American patriots, Don Jr., I'm going to play that. This is a clip from Don Jr.'s show. You guys ever watch Don Jr.? I like Don Jr. Don Jr. is awesome. Oh. Wow. Okay. Okay. Now that's like those old montages that Rush used to do. Remember, Rush used to do these montages. He started that, where people on all the different news stations are saying the exact same thing. So how is this possible? How can people on different networks, different cable channels, and everything, how can they all be saying the exact same thing? USAID, that's how. That's no longer in business. That was shut down by, of course, Elon Musk, Doge, and President Trump. And you know, what we learned about USAID is they were funding all kinds of media. Remember this? It was probably a deep state CIA, NSA outfit. And that was their whole slush fund on how they did all this. Remember, I was talking earlier that the liberals are without talking points on how to respond to this. That's why you just are hearing nutty things. But USAID was writing all these talking points, submitting them to the media outlets, and then they're all saying the same thing word for word. And that came from this meeting that President Obama had on December 9th, when he brought in everyone from his intelligence agencies, and they crafted this fake intelligence report about Russian collusion. And then they used those intelligence agencies, USAID, CIA, and all of this, to get the media to spread the lies, to get the propaganda going. It's really crazy. You know, I'm wearing this shirt right now. The America 250th birthday celebration shirt. This is the official logo that President Trump had commissioned for America's 250th birthday. You know, and being in a free country has really been an illusion, hasn't it? Is the country really been a free country? How many years of our 250 have we been free? I know we've been free for the last 6 months since Trump came back into office. But when you see that montage, you see this meeting, what's going on here? Now, for those of you out there that are obsessed with the Epstein thing, did you see Attorney General Pam Bondi? She posted on X today, they're going to be meeting with Maxwell. They've already got a meeting scheduled. They're going to take a deposition. They're going to take her statements, they're going to get names, and they're going to go out and do a new investigation. So if President Trump was involved in any negative way, would he send Pam Bondi to go interview her, take a deposition, and launch an investigation? Does that even make sense? This is so far outside the realm of what they have to do, and they're doing it. So no, I think the answer would be no. All right, now we've got some breaking news here. Former President Obama has released a statement on, I don't know, what are we calling this? Is it Obamagate? Is it Russiagate? Is it treason? I don't know. What are we calling this coup against President Trump's first term? Are we calling it Obamagate? I don't know. But anyway, here's former President Obama and his response. Now, I'll tell you, I'll play this whole thing uninterrupted. I'm not going to interrupt it again. I'll start it over and uninterrupt it. Barack Obama is an insane narcissist. He doesn't say my office, he says our office. You know, Jeff Daniels said the madness of King George. You ever heard of the royal we? When someone refers to themselves as we and ours instead of me or I. He's talking about himself in the royal we form. You have to be a megalomaniac narcissist to do that. Well, I guess that's Obama. Okay, so Obama is walking back what he was doing after that meeting. And for him to respond, I say Obama's scared. I think Obama's worried. Because, all this stuff that we know, that's like the tip of the iceberg. Obama knows everything. And, I like to watch the true crime on ID. I like it when they do when they show those interrogations of the people. And so often they bring these guys in for interrogations, the police. They have no evidence. They got nothing. And the people end up spilling their guts in the interrogation room. And I heard a detective or two say that the criminals, they're on the inside, they're terrified. They're scared to death. And they think that you know everything. They always think that you know everything. That's what's going on with Barack Obama right here. He's in a panic. And we only know a little bit of what he did. But he knows everything he did. And he thinks that Trump knows everything he did. He thinks Pam Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino know everything that he did. And he's in total freak-out mode. The very fact that he responded to that tells you that he is in a complete panic mode. And what he's done is he's opened up a whole can of worms now. This is not going to be the end of it. In fact, when President Trump had his press conference today in the Oval Office with the president of the Philippines, the press didn't really ask about this too much. Came up once, Trump talked about it quite a bit. I played a bit of it at the beginning of the program, but they didn't do follow-ups or anything. They didn't want to go there. So Obama now has brought it up, and that's going to be the beginning of the discussion from his part. It's not going to be, I'm releasing a statement and we're not going to talk about it again, like when the Reagan family issued a statement that he was suffering from Alzheimer's, and they said, we're not going to talk about it anymore. That's not going to fly with this ongoing criminal investigation. Now, if you would like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening to me on. If you become a Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free additions to all of my podcast episodes. There's a lot of exclusive content that I post there that you see nowhere else, including vlogs and other things that I do that I post nowhere else that only Patreon supporters see, and a lot of other things too. And if you're a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode of the program. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, and Janice. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. Again, the link to my Patreon page is in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're tuned in on. And the direct website address is patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. Patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. Yes, I do know that Ozzy Osbourne passed away. Just to say, I was never really a fan of that music, all that stuff. I was never an Ozzy Osbourne fan. When I was a kid and MTV was new, I remember seeing an interview with him, and he had his son, who's all grown up now, but he was a little boy. He was like 5, and he was dressed just like his dad. Ozzy and his son, they were wearing like black suits and these round blue sunglasses, if I remember correctly. And they did this interview on MTV, and people used to talk about the bats and all that stuff, the bat's head and all that. I was a fan of his television show. And when he did that, when Ozzy did that reality show, which had to be 20 plus years ago now, it was a really good show because it was fun and interesting, but it was also a great message of don't do drugs, right? And I remember once one of his kids had got into a little trouble with drugs. There was something about drugs that came up, and And I remember Ozzy, remember how it worked on that show? He was so bad, he was so out of it, that sometimes they'd have to have subtitles. And he was talking to his kids, I think it was his daughter, and he was like, don't do drugs. He says, look at me. He says, do you want to be like me? You don't want to be like me. All right, so Tulsi Gabbard has responded to President Obama. See, this is a big deal. This is a big, big deal. Now, this is Tulsi Gabbard. She's on Fox. Is that, and she's, yeah, she's with Lara Trump. Mm. Mm. This is amazing. Wow, and of course, she's speaking with the president's daughter-in-law who's interviewing her. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Pretty cool, Lara Trump. Okay, so this is just a phenomenal amount of breaking news to infinity here on the program. I mean, I picked a perfect time to live stream this podcast. Obama, in a panic, releases a statement, and Tulsi Gabbard, who broke all of this, immediately responds. This is how serious the president is about this. And, you know, Tulsi Gabbard, this is so important for people to appreciate. She is taking a risk beyond imagination, okay? To take on these monsters anyway is a risk. But she's a lifelong Democrat, so they view her as a traitor, so they're extra pissed off at her. And also, she's a native Hawaiian, And Obama says he's from Hawaii. So they view her as betraying another Hawaiian, betraying a Democrat, and of course going MAGA. So they really, and on top of exposing all of these documents and declassifying everything, the amount of risk that she has taken cannot be overemphasized. I mean, this is an incredible amount of risk. She is an American hero. Well, I guess since she's a female, genders are, the right genders are back. She's a heroine. She's an American heroine. She is the bravest American woman alive today doing what it is she's doing. And for her to immediately go on Fox News and respond to that idiotic statement, that cowardly statement, that panic, anxiety-driven statement from Barack Hussein Obama, it shows you that the Trump administration means business. And then she did it on the air with the president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump. The Trumps are serious about this. Trump knows that they will never leave him or his family alone if justice is not done, and they are going to pursue this. If you're new to my program, make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to me on. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you next time. Take care.